Hello everyone, TMMgamer here, and today I have the pleasure of bringing you another one of my FIFA 13 tutorials. Now today's tutorial is going to be focusing on counter-attacking. Now counter-attacking has to be my most commonly used method to score goals because my entire game is based on having a very solid defence, drawing my opponent onto me and then hitting them on the break with one or two key passes, a good ball down the wing and then a cross or a shot to finish them off. So this tutorial is going to be showing you several ways that you can bring an opponent onto you, then quickly counter-attack with one or two passes and hit them on the break with a sucker punch. So let's get straight onto it. Now, the first tip I want to show you guys involves the lobbed through ball and how effective that can be on the counter-attack. But before I get into that, there's just one thing I want to show you. Now, as you can see when the clip pauses here, my player, or I think that's Cesc Fabregas, is in absolutely acres of space. And what I really want to get across to you early on is, as soon as you've won the ball back, it's very tempting to get that early ball over the top to maximise your chances of getting a break on. However, I completely advise against this. Whenever you win the ball back, it's always better to play one simple ball off, because think about it, when you just put a tackle in, you've won the ball back, it's bobbling around, you know, there's probably opposition players all around you. What you want to do as quickly as possible is just lay that ball off to an unmarked player. And as you can see in this example here, because I've done that, it's given Cesc Fabregas plenty of time to turn, have a look at the options and then choose the best one to do. So that's the first tip really quickly. Whenever you win the ball back, try and play that one simple pass into a free midfielder's feet, because as you can see, it gives you so much more time to turn, have a look at the options and then pick the best one to give you the best chance of exploiting the break. And just by doing that, as you can see highlighted at the top of the screen here, it gives me that crucial few seconds just to have a look and see that my striker Karim Benzema has got a little bit of a run on the fullback and has a chance to run in behind the back four. Now, as the clip rolls on here, you can see that I ping the diagonal lob through ball over the top of defence, and that's through L1 and triangle if you're wondering how to make that pass. And what that does, as you can see as the clip pauses here, is it forces the centre back out of position. Now, the major benefit of counter-attacking is that your opponent does not have enough defenders to cover every option. Now, as you can see here, I've played one ball over the top of defence and that's already forced a centre-back wide. And as you can see, by forcing that centre-back out of position, it's left a lot of space in behind him to exploit. Now, when I'm on the ball with Karim Benzema, I've got a couple of options here. I could either run into the byline and put a cross in the back post, but as you can see at the bottom of the screen, my other two players who are joining the counter-attack are marked. So what you want to do in this position is try and beat that one defender, because once you've beaten that one defender, that forces another defender, because there's only two of them left, to come out and try and put pressure on you. Now, in this example, my opponent tries to get that defender across and put pressure on, but once again, I can just skip inside and I have a choice then to either put the shot on target or to try and slip an extra player through. Now, in this example, I decide to get that shot on target because Benzema's got plenty of time, I can just caress it in. But if that third defender had come across quickly and tried to put pressure on me again, I could have just slipped the ball through. And that's the great thing with that diagonal through ball. It pulls the defenders out of position. So if you beat one guy or if you run round him, you force the 3 or 4 defenders, doesn't matter how many's left, you force them out of position, you pull them around, and that creates space for other players. So this is the first example I wanted to show you, and as you can see with these additional examples rolling on in the background, this lob through ball is very good because it causes chaos in the defence, and that's exactly what you want in a counter-attack. You want to move the ball as quickly as possible to pull those defenders out of position and exploit the space they make before the midfield has a chance to rush back and fill in the gaps. So that's the first technique. Let's move on to the second. Now, this next tip I wanted to show you focuses on what to do when you notice that your opponent has pulled a fullback well up the pitch to support an attack. And this is a very common technique. You can see a lot of players online play with 4 at the back and play with 2 very attacking fullbacks and push them up and try and put crosses on the box. And this makes them a very easy target to exploit on a counter-attack, because as you can see with these examples here, my opponent has charged his fullback up to try and support his move, and what that does is it leaves absolutely miles of space in behind him, and all it takes is just a couple of little passes in midfield to free up a winger. And this is what you're trying to do in this situation. When you've noticed that your opponent has pulled his fullbacks up the field, you're trying to draw as many additional defenders to the ball as possible with a few little tricky passes, and then you can just put that one through ball in behind to get your winger away. Now, once you've done that and once your wingers are way down the line, what you're looking to do is to delay the cross as long as possible, because if you put that ball in early, you're not forcing your opponent to make a decision. He can just leave the winger to run down the line and he can just mark the two guys in the middle with his centre backs, and the chances are he'll head the ball away. What you're looking to do is to pull the centre back towards the winger to give you that additional striker at the far post. And as you can see with all these examples here, that's exactly what I do. I play that one ball down the wing and I hold on to the ball as long as possible until I see that guy free at the back post, because as most of you guys know, heading is a very, very finicky technique in FIFA 13. Sometimes you'll bullet a header in from 20 yards, other times you'll just not win a header all game. So what you're looking to do as often as possible is to give your strikers free headers, and this is the great thing by using this technique. Once you've played the ball down the line, hang on to it as long as possible, and as soon as you see that centre half get pulled out of position, then you put the ball in, because that gives you the best chance of getting a free header on goal. And when you've got any reasonable striker, they will head those free headers in the top corner every single day of the week. So this technique really builds on from what I mentioned in the first one about pulling centre halves out of position. That's what you're looking to do in a counter-attack. You're trying to shift that defence around to give your attackers the best opportunity at having the most simple chance in goal. So once again, run that winger down the line, wait as long as possible until you see that centre half get pulled out of position, and then find the unmarked guy at the back post for a simple header. The first two techniques I talked about really do focus on pulling defenders out of positions and different ways you can exploit that. The third technique builds on that even more, but this one's slightly more advanced because the first two really only focused on one very important ball. The first one was the lob through ball over the top, which pulled a centre-back out of position. The second one was the nice through ball down the line to a quick winger, and then you hung on to the ball as long as possible, waited for the defenders to move, and then exploit the space they created. This technique builds on that even further, and as you can see with this example rolling here, I've managed to nick the ball off my opponent and launch a counter-attack, but as you can see, my opponent has a lot more defenders back this time. However, what you do in this situation is still basically an extension of what I've been talking about before. You hang on for the ball as long as possible and force your opponent to do something, and as you can see, my opponent brings that defender towards the ball, and that gives me a chance to get Benzema in behind. And once your opponent's moved his defenders out of position, it only takes a couple of quick passes to give Benzema that very, very easy chance on target. And as you can see here, I just check the ball onto his right foot and finesse the ball into the top corner, no problems whatsoever. And this is what I want to get across to you in the third example. Even if your opponent has got a lot of defenders back, don't panic. As long as you keep moving the ball forward and keep running into that space, eventually you're going to give your opponent a choice. Now, he can either not put pressure on you at all, in that case you have a shot on target from distance and try and put one in the top corner or force a bobble, or what he does is he puts pressure on the ball. And as you can see with this example here, when my opponent put pressure on the ball, all it took was just a quick shift of the ball, moved it away from that initial pressure, and it gave Benzema the option to exploit the space in behind. And this is the key thing with counter-attacking. Counter-attacking is not just about punting the ball forward as fast as you can possibly imagine. It's about cleverly manoeuvring your players around and manoeuvring the points of attack to pull those defenders out of position, and then once you've done that, it's just that one simple ball or that one simple crossing behind to exploit it. And that's what I really want to get across to you guys. Counter-attacking is such a fantastic way to score goals. It is so incredibly easy to tear teams apart on the break. All you need to do is just very, very early establish where your opponent's weakness is, wait, and then drag those defenders out of position. And once you've done that, as you can see with these examples here, you get easy goal after easy goal after easy goal. So guys, I really hope you've enjoyed the tutorial. I've been trying to keep the length of these down and have a lot more footage rolling in the background, because I know a couple of you guys have said you don't want to see so many still images. So I've taken that on board, and hopefully you enjoy the slightly different style of tutorial. But I wanted to spend a little bit of time really talking about the mentality behind counter-attacking and what you're looking to do, because just by taking that little bit of extra time and having that little bit of an extra glance, you can force your opponent into two pretty horrific decisions. Either just let you run through and have a shot, or try and put pressure on and leave miles of space in behind, which is very, very easy to exploit. So guys, I really hope you've enjoyed the tutorial. I hope you've learned something, and as always, Thanks for watching and have a great day.